with Beringer Associates. I've had the opportunity to meet a number of you on the line today. Thank you for joining. Those of you that I haven't met, I certainly look forward to doing so. My contact information is here on the screen. Please take a note. Love to talk about all topics CRM, especially user adoption, best practices, and so forth. So certainly take note of my contact information and reach out at any time. A little bit about Beringer Associates. We've been in business now for 21 years, and for all 21 years, we've focused on helping supply chain businesses and really wholesale distributors implement and manage technology. So we're going to talk about one of those pieces of technology in CRM today. We have 15 years of experience implementing CRM solutions. It was a few years into our business that we had decided that we needed a CRM solution of our own. And we embarked on evaluation of different products and settled on one and implemented it. And through gaining the benefits of the CRM platform at that point, we decided that it would be great technology for us to bring to our customer base. So we started down the road of implementing CRM solutions and have been doing so for about 15 years at this point. So lots of great experience. We've seen just lots and lots of implementations, lots of best practices, a lot of which we're gonna share today and talk about. We are a gold certified Microsoft CRM solutions partner, one of their key go-to partners, not only in the East region here, but in the entire country. And we're also their industry partner for wholesale distribution. So when people at Microsoft think about CRM technology and they think about wholesale distribution and supply chain, we're typically the company that they think about as we focused on taking the CRM technology into that space for many, many years. So we also offer a version of Microsoft CRM called CRM for Distribution. It's an extension of Microsoft CRM, and it's been developed specifically for the wholesale distribution audience, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. It is a certified for Microsoft Dynamics application, so fully certified by Microsoft and endorsed by Microsoft. And then a component of that is DataSync Cloud, excuse me, which is our cloud-based ERP and CRM integration platform. And just by way of mention, a few other things that we do. We also have a managed network services practice, do a lot with infrastructure, both ongoing maintenance and support. And we become the IT department for a lot of our clients, or we can simply augment your internal IT staff to do things like server monitoring and project support. So maybe you're doing an infrastructure upgrade and so forth. We can certainly help with that. Obviously, we're big into customer relationship management. We do a lot with voice over IP and unified communications today, and also a lot with cloud computing and Microsoft's Office 365 products. So if we can help you with any of those things, we would certainly love to talk to you more about those as well. So the frame of reference, part of what I'm going to be showing you today does come out of our solution. It's not really a session on our product. It's not a demo of our product, but we will be as I said, we've been implementing CRM solutions for just over 15 years. And we used to go into a distributor and kind of sit down and open up the notebook and say, what do you want to accomplish with CRM? Solutions, we found that there are so many synergies with what distributors want to do with CRM overall. And I have a slide that speaks to that here in a couple minutes, so we'll go through that. So rather than reinventing that wheel for every implementation that we did, we decided to create a product and take all that intellectual property that we had developed over a number of years by way of things that we built in CRM and offer it as a packaged solution that gets deployed on top of the standard Microsoft CRM product. So we branded that product as CRM for Wholesale Distribution. Product's been in market for a number of years. And it is an extension to Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So you install the base product, we install our solution on top of it. As I said, it is a fully certified Microsoft application. So lots of different functionalities available in our solution, developed specifically for supply chain and for wholesale distributors. So obviously it includes all the standard out-of-box functionality from Microsoft CRM, but then also a lot of stuff that we've built as well. And some examples of that are here on the screen. So we offer sales call and expense tracking and deep customer profitability analysis and cost to serve and so forth. So we have lots of ongoing webinars and demonstrations of our solution. If you'd like to see kind of a whole run-through of our solution, and I encourage you to do so, we have upcoming webinars around that as well, and you probably have received an email with some of that information. And if not, certainly reach out. I'd be happy to send it over to you. So the second component of our product is called DataSync Cloud. Again, back in the old days, we used to create a custom integration for every customer that we would implement CRM for. And that is, by the way, one of the most impactful implementation areas with CRM for distributors is the integration to your ERP system. There's some really good stats and statistics out there on this particular topic, but I can tell you that end-user adoption dramatically increases when you have your ERP system integrated with your CRM platform. So again, we used to, kind of open the notebook and say, okay, what data would you need to come over into CRM from your ERP system, and then what do you want to do with that data? And we realized, and I have a slide that talks about this as well in best practice integration points. But we found that all the systems, the ERP systems, mainly have the same structure, and that we ended up bringing over almost the exact same information in just about every implementation. So again, we took a step back. We created a platform in DataSync Cloud. It's a cloud-based integration platform. It is a subscription model. So one of the barriers to entry back in those days were the cost of the middleware that you might have to purchase to facilitate the integration, as well as the cost of developing that integration. They were barriers of entry to a lot of our clients. So in our solution, there is no software or hardware to buy or maintain. There's no upfront cost in large customization or development efforts. It's simply a data map that we work with you to fulfill from your ERP system and get that data flowing into CRM. And it is a near real-time synchronization platform. So kind of just a background about our product and our solution. And as I said, we're going to show a number of screens today from our solution. So I thought that would be a good frame of reference here as we get started. So what are we going to cover today? Well, we're here to talk about best practices in implementing CRM within the distribution industry and what we've seen be successful, maybe some areas of risk and things that you have to manage as you implement a CRM solution. But we're going to start with why do we see distributors embracing this CRM technology as a whole. Talk through that. Talk a little bit about what we see in the industry. We're going to talk about some adoption rates across wholesale distribution in terms of CRM. I'm going to go through a few examples of success. We're going to talk about some high-impact functionality. And we're going to talk about best practices in planning, implementing, and then also supporting a CRM initiative after go-live. So let's start with why we see wholesale distributors embracing CRM technology. Very, very common points on this slide that resonate with most of the customers that I work with. The number one most kind of grassroots need is around centralizing information. Normally, when we walk into a distributor before they have CRM technology, they have a lot of different silos or islands of information in their company. So they have an ERP system, it's got all their line of business, transactional data, as well as data on their customers and suppliers. We also then find that the sales team has their own islands of information spread throughout the company. So that may be contact management products like Outlook and so forth in use, might be some spreadsheets that you're using for forecasting and so forth. And then you may have marketing, and you may have a marketing system that you're using that's out on the internet somewhere. So, and it just gets a little bit worse from there, or even sometimes a lot worse from there, depending on each individual client. So we see a great need just to take all that information and bring it into one platform. And there are a lot of benefits to that. Very hard to enforce things like business process consistency, and even hard to just do reporting and marketing when you have data that's spread all over your organization. So number two is just improving lead follow-up. So whether you're getting your leads from your suppliers, your manufacturers, maybe you're doing some web marketing, which I hope all of us are doing today, and driving leads in that way that you're paying lots of money for. no matter how you're getting these leads, it's very, very important, obviously, to follow up. And to follow up in a timely format, right? Because people that are out searching for suppliers today, it's a real-time world. And what we're finding is that the suppliers that get back to those prospects the quickest typically have the best chance of securing that business. Because you think about how you shop on the internet, when you need something, you need it, and you want it off your desk. So you're just going out on the internet, you're going supplier to supplier to supplier, and first one that you feel comfortable with, that gets back to you quickly, you're probably, going to end up at least considering doing business with them. So timely lead follow-up is very, very important. A big thing that we see in our customers is that there is a breakdown between inside sales and outside sales, or inside sales, customer service, and outside sales. However you title those folks, there's people typically at your main office or at a branch location that don't leave the office. They're inside sales or customer service. And they're talking to and interacting with customers, in some cases even suppliers. And then you have your outside team that's out on the road and visiting customers and interacting with customers. And it's difficult to have them work in a collaborative fashion without a solution in place like CRM. So you've got typically the inside people using the ERP system to manage their transactions. They're doing quoting, and they're doing ordering, and they're doing escalation of orders and expediting and things like that. And then you have the outside team that's going out and visiting customers and so forth, and they're not on that same platform in a lot of cases. They don't use the ERP platform. So you've got a breakdown there, and everything's done by either email or a phone call, very inefficient, and just not good collaboration, right? It's not a good collaborative environment. So needing to improve collaboration, we see as a big need with our customers. Also, enforcing consistency in business process. To give you some examples around that. So we talk a lot as we implement CRM about pipeline, about forecasting, about opportunity management, whatever you call it. It's the salespeople getting a better handle around what they're working on from a sales perspective. And that's so important to the company because it gives the company the barometer for where they're at and where they're going, a month or 3 months down the road from a business perspective. So what we find is that when you have CRM, you're starting to collect a lot of great information about selling. So you're starting to understand, well, who closes business? What's your best closers? What's your best sales reps in terms of taking something from, let's say, an opportunity or a quote to actually close business? Who are you competing against out in the market? What's the market sense for competition and for your offerings, right? So how do you stack up against your competitors? When you have that information, you can start to build that into your sales process. But unless you have a tool that's going to enforce consistency in your business process, all of that might be for naught because people are creatures of habit, and that's enforcing consistency in a business process is very, very difficult without a solution like CRM. So again, something we see that's very top of mind with our distributor customers. We also, back when the economy started to really go down, we started hearing a lot from our customers about customer profitability, costing around customer, right? So we call it cost to serve or cost to service your customer. Well, what does that look like? In distribution, it's a highly commoditized business in most cases, right? So it's also about making sure you're tracking profitability within your customer base. If those of you that aren't doing that, and I'm talking more about net profitability, not gross, right? So it's net profitability. If you're not doing that, I'd encourage you to definitely start thinking about that, and I think you'd be pretty surprised sometimes at what you find when you start to peel back those layers. So talk a bit about that as we move forward today. Improving marketing abilities, today everybody is so inundated with information. You've got so many channels of information at your disposal, email being one of the #1 channels, and everybody is so inundated with email communications and really just information and digital communications overall. The easiest way to get somebody to ignore you is to send them something that's not relevant to them, right? So an example of that, And this is kind of a real-world example. Obviously, we won't call out the company that was doing this, but when they had a special on a product, they would simply blast that out to their whole customer base. So if today they were focused on selling, safety supplies, right, and a certain item, maybe goggles that they were having a special on, they were also sending that to customers that don't buy safety supplies. So do those people care about that special? No, they don't. So really an easy way to, have people ignore you or to ask you to stop emailing them is to send them things that just that aren't relevant to them. So with our solution, we bring all the transactional information in from your ERP system, so you're able to go in and query all the way down to the item level, right? So what customers are buying certain items, certain item classes, certain vendor lines, those of you that are in the food space, maybe you're interested in pulling up a list of customers that buy produce versus, meats, right? So you want to target people for produce. And lots of cross-marketing and cross-selling capabilities. But, without a tool like CRM, that in some cases is pretty difficult to do very targeted marketing. Improving cross-selling, it's certainly a great way to improve sales overall is to look at your customers that you already have a relationship with and determine are there other areas that we might be able to fulfill for them, other products, other product lines, other suppliers, things like that, right? And having a tool that's going to help you expose that and manage that. Probably one of the things that we focus on with every implementation that we work on is around quote follow-up. We have some really slick functionality around quotation analysis and actual follow-up processes that today dashboards are huge. People want to visualize information. They want to be able to click on things that are visual and get more information and have it be real time. See, hopefully that's resonating with a lot of you that are on the phone. If you don't already have CRM and some of the things that you may be thinking about or top of mind that you need to accomplish as an organization, I'm sure at least a few of those on this slide are definitely resonate. So what we find out in the market, we find a few key things. We find that, for one, outside sales has limited tools and information available to them as they work out in the field. So more often than not, we find that sales do not work off of the ERP system. So they are flying a bit blind. If you ask them, I think that's a term that I hear a lot, is that they feel like they're flying somewhat blind. And they just don't have access to the transactional data, the customer information, AR information, and so forth that could really be beneficial to them in doing their job. We also find that in a lot of cases there's really no requirement prior to CRM in how the outside sales team tracks information. And there's a lot of risk there. When you have turnover in your business, if you haven't controlled that, then a lot of customer information and relationships can just walk right out the door. We even find in a lot of cases that while there's no requirement on how to track information, the outside sales team is also using their own personal cell phones as the primary way that they communicate with customers. So obviously, when they leave, the phone and phone number go with them, as does all the information, because there's been no standard on the way that they track information. And that's really difficult, right? So it's not only difficult and risk with losing information and losing customers and relationships, but having that leave the company, there's just a whole lot of risk in that. So definitely something that a lot of people are looking to get control of. Also, we find that there's a lot of redundant effort happening to solve basic tasks, right? So if I'm an outside salesperson and I go out and I meet with a customer and they say, I need a quote on an item, or I have a problem with an invoice, or whatever the case may be, in a lot of scenarios prior to having a CRM solution, that outside sales rep is calling somebody back at the main office. They're calling typically the inside salesperson. They're saying, hey, I need you to put together a quote for this item. Oh, by the way, they had a question on this invoice. I need you to look at that. And now you've got two people involved in satisfying a couple of pretty simple queries from the customer. So not very efficient. It also delays the response to the customer, which is its own set of problems today. Again, it's a real-time world. People, when they think of a buying process, they think of Amazon. I know I do, and you probably do as well. So we have to really hold ourselves to a higher standard in the way that we service our customers, and that scenario just doesn't work today. We also hear that it's common for a customer to be able to call different people at the distributor and get different prices on items. So I've heard that from a lot of different customers prior to them having a solution like CRM that tracks activity. That, if they're just giving verbal quotes, that customer can call their inside salesperson, hang up, call the outside salesperson, get the price, hang up, call back, get somebody different on the inside sales level, get a third price, and then just pick the lowest price, right? And not only is that bad for a whole lot of reasons, it just doesn't make us look really well put together. So certainly not the way that we want to operate today. And then we did a great webinar with a company called CSO Insights. And CSO Insights, one of the principals there, Barry Traylor, I've been friends with for years. He's been around the CRM space for many, many years. And his company, CSO Insights, they're a research company that focuses on sales and marketing data. And they do a big survey every year of thousands of different companies. And a few years ago, they added distribution as one of their focus industries that they were surveying. And we did a great webinar. You can find it up on our YouTube channel, which is Beringer, ASSOC, out on YouTube. And we did a great webinar with them where they exposed some of their findings in one of their annual studies that they found from wholesale distributors. And one of the things that they found was that prior to a solution like CRM, a lot of outside salespeople were still selling by wandering around, which today, again, really doesn't work. So, we need to be much more thoughtful in our approach to sales, marketing, and customer service. And this is some of the things that we see out in the market. And I'm hoping that a lot of you aren't shaking your head in agreement with this, but I have a feeling that some of you probably are, and that's okay. Because you may know that you have a problem, and you're probably here to get more information on how to resolve that problem. So no worries there, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about, the adoption rate of CRM in the space that we see. And this is from the National Association of Wholesalers in their 2013 Executive Summit report that was released. They found that about 61% of distributors are using CRM technology. And what does that mean? Well, that means that in a lot of cases, you're competing against companies that already have this technology and have already ingrained this in their go-to-market strategy. So it definitely has become a competitive issue if you don't have this type of technology in place. Okay? You can see over on the right, there's a graph of distributors and kind of where they're at in the process of thinking about CRM. So very little percentage here aren't aware of it. In fact, that surprises me that there's any color at all in that category of people that aren't aware of CRM. But anyway, you have some that are aware of it, probably thinking a little bit about it. You have more that are certainly understand the need and understand kind of what CRM is. It's got a huge number of, 40-some% of the respondents that are shopping for and implementing a CRM solution. So definitely a competitive issue today for those of you that don't have this technology in place. Really good comment, too, from NAW. It's, CRM is an essential tool, standard practice for any sales organization, and distributors that don't use it are going to fall behind. We're already kind of seeing that, which, again, it's probably, if you're not yet implemented a CRM solution, probably why you're here to learn more. So I picked out a couple examples of CRM success that I thought we'd talk about, give you some idea of what other distributors are realizing as the benefit of CRM. So the top one there is that, clear picture of the pipeline. Talked a little bit about that, very important. Also, tracking win rates by salesperson, from a construction equipment dealer. And really great examples of how CRM is benefiting them. Another company that was surveyed for this, a sanitary distributor, is using CRM to manage prospects, customer activity, and lead generation. And they're also using it in their outbound calling process to lower sales cost activity. So doing some really neat things there with queuing up calls based on data in CRM. So if a customer has not placed an order in 2 weeks, for example, and their average order rate was, X amount of orders per week, obviously something's happening there. So automatically, queue up a call for the inside sales team to touch base with that customer is one example of, success around using it for outbound calling. Another example of success from an industrial distributor was accelerating sales, so shortening their sales cycle, getting things moved through to quote and to order a lot quicker. Contact management, doing better e-marketing campaigns, using dashboards, and tracking sales opportunities. An electrical wholesale distributor that we work with, having great success around that. And then finally, just a common base of information. Kind of goes back to that number one point on the slide that we went through a couple minutes ago as to why distributors are looking to CRM, is just to get a handle on their data and bring it into a central platform. So let's go through some examples of some high-impact functionality that you should definitely consider as you kind of roadmap your own CRM implementation, and things that we see being very, very, very successful out in the market. So the first one I want to talk through is around some best practice data integration points. Again, with our solution, our DataSync Cloud solution, we have all these built into that solution, and these are some of the common integration points that we see with distributors in integrating with their ERP product. The number one is around customer account information. So when you look at your customers and you look at the structure of those customers in your ERP system, is to replicate that structure in CRM. Because the way that you think about customers and the way that you're working with them in your ERP platform should not be different once they hit CRM, right? That would be a difficult transition for people to stop thinking about customers and the structure is one way and start doing it a different way just because CRM does it differently, right? So one of the benefits of the Microsoft CRM product is that there's a deep model around accounts and sub-accounts. So typically, we're replicating over all the customer and ship-to information, as well as vendors and suppliers, into the CRM system from the ERP system. We're also typically replicating the sales rep assignment of those customers. So as those customers flow over from the ERP system into CRM, we're assigning the same sales rep to those accounts and enabling security so that reps can't see each other's customers or invoices and orders and quotes and things like that. And that's all typically modeled out after what's happening in the ERP system. Credit status, very important for a rep to know, when somebody starts to slip on payment. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. AR notes, a lot of times they're being collected and documented in the ERP system. Very important perspective, really for anybody that interacts with a customer, particularly in sales, to kind of know what's happening there from an AR perspective. Pricing, very important aspect to have in the CRM solution, so a sales rep can look at what customers' pricing is for items and things like that. And then, of course, replicating contact information over from the ERP system as well. Around the sub-account structure, again, this goes back to the way that we see customer structures typically being done in ERP, which is they're by ship to. So when you look at a customer, you have a parent-level customer record. So imagine you do business with Walmart. You have a Walmart parent in Bentonville, Arkansas, and then you have a different ship to for every location that you ship product to. And replicating that structure in CRM so that those are all part of one customer structure, and you can either analyze things at the top level and look at the whole customer relationship, or you can drill down to any ship-to and analyze things at the ship-to level. So very important. Orders and invoices, just lots and lots of great reasons why you'd want to bring all of your transactional information over into CRM, and we'll talk about a couple of those examples. Definitely sales history. So being able to look at a customer in CRM and kind of see what is their sales pattern. So where were they at last year? Where are they at this year? And starting to track performance of sales across your customer base. Quotes, we'll talk about an example around quoting and why bringing quote data into CRM from your ERP system, or a lot of CRM systems have quoting modules. I know Microsoft CRM has a good quoting module that you can do quoting right out of CRM. So whichever the case, getting that data in CRM for quote follow-up and reporting and analysis and so forth. And then finally, products and inventory information. So many CRM systems are used on a mobile device today. Microsoft offers a great mobile. What's allocated, what's not, standard costing around an item, and so forth. Right? So that's typically what we see being the common integration points, and then there may be some others as well, unique to you. So let's talk a little bit about quote management. As I said, most of our customers that we work with are very interested in doing a better job of managing quotations overall, right? So having a quote pipeline in a solution like CRM gives a lot of perspective around a forecast and a pipeline in general. So what business is out there and what's the health of the business look like over different periods of time. Being able to automatically assign a best practice follow-up process to quotes is very important. And also accountability around follow-up of quotes. Tracking competitive pressures and quote disposition, and also then tracking win-loss. So let me just pop over here into our solution, CRM for distribution, and give you a bit of a perspective around that. So you can see that when I log into my dashboard, one of the pieces on my dashboard is my quote pipeline by dollars and by customer. So I'm putting eyes on that every single day when I log into CRM. And as a salesperson, you can imagine that this may not be all that real, but in any case, it's showing me what my quote volume looks like by customer and by dollars. And I could drill into this and look up the actual quotes that make up my quote pipeline. So I just clicked on the graph. It'll go out and it'll resort itself and show me the detail around those quotes, and I could drill in a little bit further to any one of these quotes that I may want to get more information on. So also, if I pop over into the sales area of the CRM for distribution product, then I can go out and I can look at all my quotes in one place. So I can see these are all the open quotes for all of my customers as a salesperson. If I was a sales manager, this might be all open quotes for all the reps that roll up to me, or it might be all the open quotes for my region and so forth. So I could also drill into any one of these quotes. Now imagine being a sales rep and being out in front of a customer with your tablet or your smartphone and being able to drill into a quote that was issued to that customer and not only getting kind of header level information about that quote, but also being able to drill in and see the actual line items that were quoted and the quantities and pricing that was quoted around that particular quote. So again, prior to a solution like this, the rep, if they have a question on a quote, is probably calling the inside person and saying, hey, can you pull up quote number 5951? I've got a question from a customer. So rather than that, we're able to do that right from a mobile device in our solution, which is just a hugely powerful and very efficient way to do business. So another thing I could do is, with all this great quote data, I've got charts and graphs over here I can use to better analyze it. I could take all of this quote information and in one click, I could go over and I could export it out to Excel. So I could do lots of great analysis around this. Maybe I want to look at quotes by date range, by customers. Maybe I want to look at a map of all my quotes that are out to customers in a certain area because I'm going to be out in that area today and I want to stop by and see customers that have open quotes. Just lots of great things you could do there. One other thing that I'll point out as well is that whether you're doing quotes in your ERP system and we're synchronizing those into CRM, or maybe you're doing quotes in CRM directly. Sure, I'll get a little error here on our demo system. But anyway, whichever you're doing there, we can apply a follow-up process to those quotes as they hit CRM. And we can even make that variable based on things like the total dollar amount of the quote. So maybe if the quote's less than $500, you want the inside salesperson or inside team to follow up. So we can queue up those follow-up activities for the inside team. And maybe if it's over $500, you want the outside person to follow up. Either case, the idea being that we're making sure that follow-up activities are getting tied to those quotes and assigned to people, and there's accountability around them going out and making sure that they're following up on those particular quotes. So good stuff there, no matter how you look at it. Let me just reopen my system here. Apologize for the error. It's always the demo gremlins. There we go. So I was going to point out that on my dashboard here, part of what I have is I also have my activities for the day. And you can see that I've got a number of different quote follow-ups here that I've been assigned. Automatically, they were created by the CRM system when those quotes hit the CRM system. So the next topic that I want to talk about is customer ranking. It's very important to be able to look at your customer base as a whole and understand, what are your best segment of customers, either based on dollars in sales or probably preferably on dollars in gross, or even more importantly, dollars in net profit. So in our solution, in CRM for Distribution, we have a ranking module that comes with the solution that essentially ranks your customers every night based on dollars in, again, either sales, gross profit, or net profit. So if I go over here to our account list, and I pull up one of our customers here, so you can today in terms of rank, where they've been, and has there been any change there in rank. So important information to know. And then what's more important is that we can also apply the sales processes to that rank. A great example of that is that for any A-level customer, maybe you want the outside salesperson to make a visit to that customer once every month, right? They're your best customers. You want them to receive excellent proactive service. We have that all built into our solution. So you can base a downstream sales process on this rank. And that's a great example. That's one that a lot of our customers use. So basically, if the rep does not enter a sales call against this customer in CRM once every 30 days or 45 days or whatever your time frame is, then it'll notify their manager that they're out of tolerance with that. It would also be on their dashboard as well as their manager's dashboard that they're out of tolerance with that requirement. So, good stuff. You can also, base marketing on customer rank. Maybe you want to invite your best customers to a certain event. It all just becomes a lot easier when you have that at your fingertips right in the CRM system. So another important aspect that we find out in the market is customer sales performance data. So a lot of this you can get from your ERP system. The difference is that when you bring it into a CRM solution, you're making that data actionable. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. So when I pop over here to my customer, if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see that we capture metrics on sales history at the customer level. So I can look and see where they're at month to date, where they're at year to date, where they were at last year, what's the variance year over year, so I can see this customer is down by 36%. I can also see it across a 24-month rolling perspective. So talking about making this actionable, I mean, this is great to see and, could benefit the rep by coming in here and looking at this and understanding, okay, well, this customer has dropped 36% in sales year over year. I better check in there and see what's going on. More importantly is setting some notification based on declines in a customer. And you want to get involved in that early, right? So having a notification to the sales rep when a customer declines more than X%. So if they're down more than 5%, that's when you want the rep to start getting involved here and find out, what's happening. Another example of that is around, let's say, gross margin. So maybe with this particular customer, you negotiated some special pricing, and you want to track the gross margin of this customer and make sure that you're not falling below a certain threshold. I'm sure that happens. It's an important topic. So we can set a notification, for example, around gross margin percentage that if it falls below a certain level on a customer-by-customer basis, that the sales rep gets notified. So you really have to dig in, find out what's happening there, and take some corrective action. So really important. Also, from an AR perspective, a lot of our customers, they get their sales reps involved in AR issues, and they need to be aware, even if they're not involved in the actual AR issue, they really need to be aware when there's an AR issue overall, right? Because it could affect their ability to sell to that client. They could be put on credit hold, and so forth. So looking at our solution here, if I scroll down a little bit, you see that we bring over all the AR information, excuse me, so that it's available to the rep right inside of CRM. So they're aware of what's happening here. And then we also have notifications. They're automatically happening if a customer goes 31 days overdue, 61 days overdue, or 90 days overdue, that the rep is being notified when that happens. So you can see that the customer is not in great shape here. They've got $47,000 that's over 90 days due. So definitely a big red flag if I was a sales rep for this account. So this topic, cost to serve, as I said, is one that got really top of mind as the economy started to decline, and it really has stayed top of mind for most of the distributors that we do business with. And I love that line, that saying, top line sales dollars are for show, because they really are, right? What does it matter? It's profitability is what's important, and that's throughout a business. So being able to look at your customers and understand a net level of profitability is exceptionally important. So being able to also capture areas of cost like sales expenses and activity costing, and really just generally capture the overall cost to serve. So just talk you through how that works in our solution as an example. So if you noticed up here under the sales history graph that we have, you'll see there's a cost to serve area. And the data that gets plugged in there automatically is from two key areas. One is that we have a sales call and expense system built into our solution. So if I look over here, we could log an expense report, for example, against this customer. As I'm a salesperson out, servicing this customer, I incur expenses, and those expenses then get logged in here, and they roll up to the cost to serve this customer, right? Because they're expenses. So that's one area, is around sales costs. Okay, so and it also solves another need, which is an expense reporting system. So if you're still doing that on paper, this system would be a great solution for you. It's tied to the customer, gives the reps a really easy, user-friendly system for entering their expenses. And then there's an approval process that runs along with it. And a lot of the reps at our distributors just take pictures of their receipts and attach them right to the expense report. But anyway, back to the topic. Those costs then roll up to the customer level and get captured in the cost to serve area of that customer. So that's one area. The other area is around activity-based costing. So if I go over here to our setup area of our application, so I'll go in here and just pull up the CRM for distribution setup area. You'll notice that in the cost to serve settings, we can determine here what types of activities are included in activity-based costing, and then also how do we capture the expense around that. We can either do it just based on a flat cost for that type of expense, right? So maybe they call in and they want to return a product, that you assign a cost to that, an average cost. or we can do it based on the fully loaded cost of your employees. So we'd go through an exercise of determining what is the fully loaded hourly cost of all of your users in CRM. That's in a hidden, protected area of CRM. And then as they're entering activities into the system is calculating the cost and rolling it up to the customer. So if my fully loaded hourly cost is $100 an hour, and I have a 15-minute activity that I've logged against a customer, then it's going to calculate a cost of $25 and roll that up to the customer level. So with this, we're able to get to a much greater level of net profitability views with your customers. So really, really important. As I mentioned, we do a lot of industry events like this, and about a year or so ago, we did a distribution industry summit and invited about 40 distributors from across the country to attend, and had just a great event. And one of the keynotes was given by Jason Bader. And Jason is with the distribution team, been around distribution, pretty much all of his life, really. Had a family-owned distribution business. He took over the consulting business of, boy, I'm drawing a blank now, real well-known distribution industry consultant. His name will come to me, but he took over his business and gave a great talk about distributors needing to get to a gross margin state of mind. And certainly this type of functionality can help, and something and inspect the behavior that you expect is another key element to driving consistency across your teams. And what we find here is that making data graphical gets people to really use it a lot more and think about it a lot more. So in the CRM solution, you'll have dashboarding capabilities. Just about every solution does today. And we encourage you to think about the most important metrics that you want to make available to your teams on their dashboards in CRM. So, my dashboard, when I log in here, if I'm a salesperson, I'm looking at my pipeline, I'm looking at my quote pipeline, I'm looking at my top 5 most profitable customers. I'm looking at, if I'm a manager, I'm looking at year-to-date sales across my sales team. I'm looking at leads that haven't been contacted, all those really important things. But to give you another example, and these are a whole library of dashboards that come with our solution. Another one is around sales history. So being able to drill in and look at year-to-date profit versus last year-to-date profit. So if you're a sales manager, that's important trending for you to have. So I can see that Craig here is struggling a little bit over last year. So his year-to-date profit numbers are down this year, as is Rob's and as is Dave's, which that would never be the case, I can tell you that. But anyway, the theme being here that making data graphical like this and giving drill-down capabilities with that data really gets people to use it a lot more actively than having to just go and want a report or look at a report. So really impactful, and the idea here being that as you dig more into business process and wanting to make certain things more consistent in how you do business, this can be a great help because you put those metrics on a dashboard and inspect the behavior that you're expecting from your teams. So let's run through, I know we're closing in on our end time here. We've got about 8 minutes left. I want to make sure we have time for questions. So at this point, please, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter those on the question pane of your GoToWebinar client. We'll be taking those in just a moment here and encourage you to go ahead and enter those questions. Would love to hear what's on your mind and interact a little bit. So in terms of planning a CRM initiative, we find that it's very, very important to do a number of different things as you plan this initiative. One of them, build out your project team. That project team should consist of members from your IT team, from absolutely your sales team, your marketing team, inside sales, customer service or support, and then also management and executive teams. I can tell you that last one being critical. that, excuse me, you have to have executive level buy-in to this project, and you have to have management and executive level enforcement in the use of this technology for it to be successful. Very, very important. We also encourage you to appoint a project manager, a person that's really going to carry the torch with this project all the way through from, beginning to end, and be empowered to make decisions and keep the project moving forward. Defining your business processes as you work through the technology. What's equally as important is what is your business process around these different pieces of functionality, right? So take that quote follow-up process. What does that look like to you? Define it. Make sure that you have a clear definition of what you want users to do in the CRM system, or they all start to go in different directions, and that's very hard to rein back in. And if they do go in different directions, things like reporting and things like that, virtually impossible. So very important. Hold planning and discovery sessions. We do this with our clients. Things that we want to uncover there is we want to document the goals of the project. How are we going to measure success? Data integration points, data migrations, security rights, project plans and timelines, things like that are important to cover in those planning sessions as well. Develop a good project plan. A partner like us at Beringer can really add a lot of value in this whole slide, really, but also in creating a project plan and managing that project plan through to completion and success. Tell my clients, don't try and eat the whole CRM buffet in one sitting. You'll make yourself sick. So what you want to do is you want to create a few home runs that you're going to be able to achieve in phase one to get the momentum really high for the project, because it's a lot easier to introduce new things down the road than it is to try and do too much in phase one. I mean, this is typically going to be new technology for your users, and trying to do too much sometimes can be as detrimental to the project as not doing enough. So a number of different things here that we feel are really, really important that as you're planning your CRM initiative that you should be thinking about. And then while you're implementing, there's a few key things that, that we found to be very important. Communicating the status of the project very often to all the stakeholders, and that's really all the way down to your end user community. Definitely focus on simplicity and ease of use in the user interface. Critically important, particularly for the sales area of the business. And I'm in sales, so I'm going to talk about myself. So no nasty grams about talking about sales, please. But salespeople have a short attention span, typically, and they don't want to be riddled with things that are difficult and time-consuming. They want to go in, get their job done in whatever solution that you're using, and move on with their selling day, right? So keep it simple, keep the user interface very streamlined, very clean, very simple to use, and you'll have user adoption. Go through one or more conference room pilots prior to taking your system live. That shakes out a lot of problems and issues with the system. Pilot going, and do one or more of those. Do a couple of them until you get it right, until it's rock solid and that you feel good about releasing it to your end users. Kind of goes into end user acceptance testing. Some of that's done through a conference room pilot, making sure the system's in good shape before that you release it. Engage your end users in what the vision is. Don't develop this solution in a vacuum. Get their input. Get them bought into the solution. You'll have much greater end user adoption if you do that. Plan for how to handle change management. Probably one of the biggest risks excuse me, to a CRM project is how to manage that change in the organization. Very important. And then finally, finalize plans for how end user adoption will be monitored. Very important. You're investing a lot in a solution like CRM. So it's very, very important to measure how end user adoption is going critically, out of the gate, but then ongoing as well. And then finally, I want to talk about best practices after you take a system live. I always ask the question when I speak about CRM is what's the average life cycle or time frame to implement a CRM solution? And I get lots of answers, a month, 3 months, a year, really the answer is that it should never end. You should continually be improving your CRM platform. We've been using Microsoft CRM for almost 11 years in our business. And I can tell you that there's not a month that goes by that we don't do something to enhance the way that we're utilizing our own deployment of Microsoft CRM. So keep that momentum going. Keep it fresh in people's mind. Work it into your culture. Make sure you're enforcing the use of the system. A couple ways you can do that is consider gamifying your CRM system. I've seen all kinds of different things work here. I've seen customers that have struggled with just getting email addresses from their customers. So they'll create a contest around that throughout their team to say whoever gathers the most email addresses in a certain period of time is, going to win a prize, or just have their name in lights, or get a parking space, a coveted parking space for a month. But there's actually also gamification applications out there for CRM systems. I know there are for Microsoft CRM, and it ties things that users do in the application to reward points and becomes almost a game, which really has been quite successful. And as I said, really just keep it top of mind, continually enhance your deployment as you go forward. So we're right up against our ending time. Just wanted to go out and see if there are any questions. There are a few out here, so let me just pull up our question manager. One question was, will the slides be available after this discussion? Absolutely. So we are recording today's event. We will go ahead and be putting that up on our YouTube channel within a couple days of this event. So be happy to send out an email announcement to those of you that attended today. And can't thank you enough for doing so. That'll be up there, and we'll get you a link to where the recording is. So with that, we'll go ahead and close our session today. Really appreciate everybody joining. Hopefully you got something out of today and you enjoyed the content. My contact information, and I'll go ahead and post that up here on the screen again as we close our session. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions, or if you'd like to talk about any of the topics today in more detail. Very passionate about these topics, and would love to connect with you one-on-one and talk a little bit further. Also, if you'd like a demonstration of our full solution, CRM for distribution and Microsoft CRM, we'd love to do that for you. We've got some upcoming webinars. If you'd like a one-on-one demonstration, please by all means reach out to me. We'd love to do so. So with that, we'll go ahead and close today's session. And again, thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.